into the lands of the gods, towards the gods far and unknown. My reverie took flight with autumn's sight, for I was abstracted, entranced in light. I beamed to the sight suffused with insight. The solutions are deep within the mind, reachable by dreams of the lucid kind. I flew south from my home in New Hamburg, over the Hudson River toward Newburgh, past Chelsea, and the great Storm King Mountain on philosophical aspiration. A wake of leaves trailed behind, like a stream, while I gathered clues through my musing means. My design in this vaporous pipe dream was to converse with all the gods who seemed. If Fishkill's and Peekskill's murderous names had not been token enough, there soon came a sequence of locales that seemed to be ominous in their triple proximity. First was Sleepy Hollow, the haunted land of the gambles of the Headless Horseman. Then the Gate of Heaven Cemetery, and the surprising town of Valhalla, a bright afterlife of an old-time place of shops built right up against the road race. I stopped to rest, well away from the maze, dazzled by the lustrous autumnal haze in a warm day's musk, before twilight dusk, near shining gates toward the unearthly sod of the refulgent graveyard of the gods. Over the stream there was an arched bridge thrown. Then I knew I'd gone beyond the known, for in that span each piece was a keystone. I questioned two luminous angel goths, where be the mythic graveyard of the gods? They looked askance, then smiled and pointed past.
It's just beyond the land of epitaphs.
For in that span, each piece was a keystone. I questioned two luminous angel gods, where be the mythic graveyard of the gods? They looked askance, then smiled and pointed past. It's just beyond the land of epitaphs.
Tombstone Remembrances. The cemetery was where the ducks were fed, where two friends feasted on wine, verse, and bread, amidst the flowered trees and quiet streams, the home for both the living and the dead. We lived at once, aware that life was dear, off smiling at heaven and hell without fear. Yes, we had some laughs, gave true love, and made life better, for it was now, and we were here. Here the grave sign of the four elements, from the fires of stars to those of the cremation. He has breathed, flourished, and dissolved. Life is ashes to ashes, stardust to stardust. Of airy winds, vapors, and a soft earth, he rests at last under the spinning skies, those of earth's sunny days and starry nights. The symphony of life plays for the dead. All that we know, even the loveliest of the best, decomposes into the dust of earth compressed. The songs once composed now lie in repose. Of this dust the future rearranges to recompose. Engraved is the end of your earthly sigh. 6 sides round you, 5 are dirt, 1 is sky. Shoveling, death talks to you at last and says, "What were you doing during all of 9?" From heaven's stars came our dust eternal. Time's seas nurtured thee and thine in turn. From time, death, and dust we thus became, and by this, thus, and that we must return. What would be the price of a moment's breath purchased from death's hand at the final hour? All the world's wealth can't extend the power that drains the cup and withers the flower. The light of heaven did the earth illumine when he shaped human nature's acumen. Temptations he then placed everywhere, but he'll punish us for being human. The wings of time are checkered black and white, as fluttering round the day flies the night. Like chess pieces we gamely play for life, until into the box we return quite. Now my cup was nearly empty and done. There was left but one last drop for the sun to drink, or with which to make rivers run. Its flavor burst in joy. My life was won. Not all poems are pleasant. Some speak of death, of life's end, separate by just a breath. I saw tombstones overgrown, underswept, names unknown, and to all the message saith,
"Read me," it said, engraved beyond the brink. "You who live up above of life go drink, and you underneath now lying so dead, rest in peace, relax, it's later than you think."
Refreshed, I wandered among the tombstones, under which rested little more than bones, where from the life had fled when dreams were dead, which under me became life's stepping stones. I'll play the game and roll the earthly dice, and through this worldly life enjoy the prize. If earth is hell for love's adventurers, then I wish no more for God's paradise. Good and evil were wrought from wrong and right, when of naught twin genii split day and night. Some may think that black's might can vanquish white, but night can't even quench the smallest light.
Everything, every order happens for a reason. Yes, for the most part, for most seasons, but not for the bottommost cause the first, for there was nothing before it to direct it forth. Youth and beauty made aged winter mourn for summer's grain, the waving wheat and corn, for old autumn withered wan had passed on, leaving the earth a widow, weather-worn.
At first you sleep in your dear mother's womb, at last you sleep in earth's cold, silent tomb. In between, life whispers a dream that says, "Wake, live, for the rose withers all too soon." Waste not the time of your life in gloom's doom. By these verses your lamp of life relume. Your live body, full of warmth and bloom, is worth 10,000 lying in the tomb.
Art and poetry enrich human experience, but they're no substitutes for the living of it. Like Keats' figures on the urn, should we live life less? No, because what is deathless is also lifeless.
Figmentations into supernatural figmentations. I strode through brilliant imagination to interview all the supposed gods there, some no more and some ruling everywhere. Notions of God are of the wide purview of the inquiring mind confined. It's why. That wide expanse of fables, faith, hoaxes, lies, imaginations, fictions, guesses, foggy notions, concoctions, phantasms, fantasies, falsehoods, conceptions, decrees, fiats, misrepresentations, dead ideas, magic, proclamations, wild tales, anecdotes, revelations, untruths, revelations, hearsay, scrap heaps, yarns, and fish stories. Stated as beliefs in that unseeable supernatural station, through faiths without knowledge ration. These are all figmentations of the imagination. Strewn about this great panoramic realm of the one possibly conceivable at the helm, were all of the unknowable fabrications often dreamt up via exaggerations by the human race of mammal sapiens. The realm of such pronouncements has come to be superposed at the furthest edge of reality, poised by the scope of some wishful thinking, by all those dreaming and wild supposing, who wish for such legends to be ever actualized and realized. However, these unknowns have never ever made it into our observable, realistic habitat in any way, they but remaining in the mind's joint of the God beholders, even as wildly varying viewpoints.
Pronouncements has come to be superposed at the furthest edge of reality, poised by the scope of some wishful thinking, by all those dreaming and wild supposing, who wish for such legends to be ever actualized and realized. However, these unknowns have never made it into our observable, realistic habitat in any way. They but remaining in the mind's joint of the God beholders, even as wildly varying viewpoints.
The graveyard of the gods. Without so much as a word to say, I pass those to whom most no longer pray, nor believe in, but once did, namely, those of the tombstones now deemed unholy, astrology, the god of the stars that plod, eternally blazed and marbled in the sod.
Much as a word to say, I pass those to whom most no longer pray, nor believe in, but once did, namely those of the tombstones now deemed unholy, astrology, the god of the stars that plot, eternally blazed and marbled in the sun.
Monuments of Diana the moon god, druid gods, Apollo, Baal, Zeus, Wotan, Aphrodite, Mithras, Isis, Ammon, Poseidon, Thor, and on and on and on, posed in the burial ground of the gods.
Silent whispers through the halls echo softly off the walls. Candles flicker gentle light in the sacred depth of night. Monuments of Diana, the moon god, druid gods, Apollo, Zeus, Wotan, Aphrodite, Mithras, Isis, Ammon, Poseidon, Thor, and on, posed in the burial ground of the gods, posed in the burial ground of the gods.
I ever hurried past the ledgering of those older mythologies preceding the formation of the Old Testament story, those ancient superstitions whose very and various olden amalgamations brought forth to form it whole for our salvation.
I ever hurried past the ledgering of those older mythologies preceding the formation of the Old Testament story, those ancient superstitions whose very and various olden amalgamations brought forth to form it whole for our salvation.
I paused at that Old Testament maligned to mark the old but lingering lines of the knowing of more invisibles, the beliefs in imagined angelics. There were angels standing, frozen in stone, over the time-worn memorials poems, as well as atop the crumbling gateposts.
Shadows dance on ancient stone, voices blend a single tone. Chants ascend to skies above, filled with
Cast as undying and near-living ghosts of the representations of the three spheres of the heavenly host, the demigod near seraphim, cherubim, ophanim, thrones, principalities, dominions, powers, archangels,
reverence and love. Mystic dreams of hidden tales, time stands still as night prevails. Brothers gather hand in hand in this
angels, and those final and the most useful, the guardian angels who are said to protect children from harm.
timeless holy land. Starlit sky through arched frames.
I paused at that Old Testament maligned to mark the old but lingering lines of the knowing of more invisibles. Beliefs in imagined angelics. There were angels standing frozen in stone over time-worn memorials, poems, as well as atop the crumbling gateposts, cast as undying and near-living ghosts of the representations of the free spheres of the heavenly host, the demigod near seraphim, cherubim, ophanim, thrones, principalities, dominions, powers, archangels, angels, and those final and the most useful, the guardian angels, who are said to protect children from harm. Final and the most useful, the guardian angels, who are said to protect children from harm.
There, amaranth, its dead red leaves never fading on this earth, unto forever, gave some color round the graveyard pallor, and to the dateless headstones gray squalor.
Nothing ever stays the same. Eternal whispers call my name in the glow.
There, amaranth, its dead red leaves never fading on this earth unto forever, gave some color round the graveyard pallor, and to the dateless headstones gray squalor.
There was a garish maroon view on high, of streaking lights of an electromagnetic sky, heretofore never imagined by myself. I strolled on and into the veil itself.
Veils, brothers gather hand in hand in this timeless holy land.
There was a garish maroon view on high of streaking lights of an electromagnetic sky heretofore never imagined by myself. I strolled on and into the veil itself.
Silent whispers the walls, echoes soft.
To the eternally dead, here lie the gods once so high beneath an electromagnetic sky. Lo, the eternally marbled monuments of the moon god, the sun god, Apollo, Baal, Zeus, Wotan, Aphrodite, Thor, Mithras, Isis, Ammon, Poseidon, Krishna, the Druid gods, and so many more. Behold, the ledger of those many mythologies that preceded, paraded, and then passed on. Here they rest, the dead and long gone rhyme.
Candles flicker gentle light in the sacred depth of night. Shadows dance on ancient stone, echo softly off the walls. Candles flicker gentle light in the sacred depth of night. Shadows dance on ancient stone, voices blend a single tone. Chants ascend to skies above, filled with reverence and love. Mystic dreams of hidden tales, time stands still as night prevails. Brothers gather hand in hand, here by the gods once so high, beneath an electromagnetic sky. Know the eternally marbled monuments of the moon god, the sun god, Zeus, Wotan, Aphrodite, Thor, Mithras, Isis, Ammon, Poseidon, Krishna, the Druid gods, and so many more. Behold the ledger of those many mythologies that preceded, paraded, and then passed on. Here they rest, the dead and long gone by, adorned with the splendor of molten time, of moldering time. The intelligent designer, I approached a semi-transparent, theistic embellishment, quite well lit. Who was holding out an eyeball, a shove of his hand for me to take note of? Who might you be, mine? For I am the god of intelligent design, the one who was made by the signs discern. When the creationists noted them all unlearned, I answered, I am lost in earth's flower, although not powers but higher powers.
Hello, they saw inexplicable complexity in nature, and thus they leapt and promulgated that nature must have a grand designer of its mechanical dance. For how could life have come about by chance? I replied, you're right about chance's stance, but wrong about chance too, for little greatness, if any at all, comes about by mere chance. Especially as some giant leap in one bound up the sheer cliffside of Mount Improbable, to find on its top a great complexity of something like the eye that you showed me. However, it is actually an error to suppose that chance is the scientific alternative to intelligent design, for that's quite negative. Natural selection is the means of the design. For it, unlike a one-shot chance, being not in kind, is a cumulative effect that ever wins and slowly and so gently climbs around the mountain's other side, behind the sight, to eventually arrive at the great height of complexity, from which we can then view the beautiful sights through our eye and view.
the widespread watchdown designers always pronounced that the biological designs were created by me instead of by chance. Just look at these eyeballs, take a glance, and the optic system hanging behind them. How could that come about by chance, these gems? You, like your followers, may listen, but you do not. They're writing with untruths, deniers deceived by this wrong approach. Whether they mean to or not, I give reproach. Chance is not the opposite of nature's design. Evolution of the species through the graduality of natural selection is the path to complexity. Your ploy falls as flat as an imaginary line. A flatworm has but an optical system spark that can only sense but light and dark. Thus it sees no image, not even a part. Whereas Nautilus has a pinhole camera of as good as half a human eye that sees but very blurry shapes. Thus these are examples of intermediate stages. Rome cannot be built in a day by chance. Chance is not a likely designer at all. Really now, could a 747 epic, assembled by a hurricane blowing free through Boeing's warehouse of all the parts? Now is this the sum of your conversational art?
No, Austin, it's quite unlikely just to confuse, and that's why we always so misleadingly use
747 argues Caesar as the contrast to ideas. 3047 argument as the contrast to ID.
So that at Austin, chance and intelligent design are not the two candidate solutions we'll find to the riddle posed by the improbable. It's not like a jackpot or nothing at all. John, your ideas persist as repetition, but again, chance for one is not solution to the highly improbable situated nature. And no sane anti-creationist sure ever said that it was your tale isn't pure. Intelligent design is neither a solution, raises a much bigger question than it solves, as you will soon see in a lesson.
Well, I'll be darned, replied the designer. Natural selection is a good answer. It is a very long and summative process, one which breaks up the problem's mess of improbability into smaller pieces, less, each of which is only slightly improbable, but not prohibitively so. Thus it's reasonable as the product of all the little steps of which would be far beyond the reach of chance. It's rich, the creationists have been looking askance, seeing only the end product, the chance, thinking of it as a single event of chance, never even understanding the great power of accumulation. Such they didn't know, much else therefore, not having any other natural ideas at all. So they outright claim that I deemed it as the tree that can magically grow the all, namely me. So God, you have now seen the light of the accumulative powers might. This is the elegance of evolution sight. Yes, but what is to become of me, the person? For I only exist through their speculation. In fact, the improbability of me so high, and so much more so from where I lie so sure, compared to that of simple nature, that my own origin is a near infinitely larger dilemma made for the creationists, the problem they love to hate, that being that you therefore can only be explained by another high intelligence designer claim. From terminating the endless regress, they've aggravated it with a vengeance that is way beyond repair or redress, as beyond could ever be under of. Out west, with that, the poor guy faded toward oblivion, which remarkably was the very location I was visiting, but hence he soon reappeared, although in another guise, but quite well attired.
And out of irreducible complexity. Hello, Bastino. It's time for mock perplexity, for I am now the god of irreducible complexity. That you are being the unmade all, and so it shall become your downfall. I'm never to be at all. Your believers have given you some fine new clothes, but intelligent design is falsely based, God knows, on irreducible complexity. So I still recognize you as the God of ID. That I am is what I really am now. Well, Darwin said long ago that his theory would break down if irreducible complexity was shown to be true, and yet no proposal has ever stood up to the analysis. Still here I am, Mr. Alive, merely by possibility, himself indeed quite complex, even irreducibly. For I am the be-all and end-all, the prime maker, and so I keep tabs on every form and splinter of the universe, planning its every constituent that I design. So then simple I am now. Yes, man, I am extremely complicated system, yet I have no parts. For then my parts that stand would be even more fundamental than me. Yes, God, if you existed, you would surely be very, very, very complex, irreducibly so. So, by the creationist theory such as it must be, you cannot be explained by a larger idea. I'm falling into the hole that they dug for you. The God of the the gaps, yet another. Deity appeared out of the mist. I myself personally feeling all the gaps withstanding in the present day knowledge of non-understanding, albeit a very large and unwarranted assumption, but I surely do fill them all in the fiat land. To me, my God, creation is fine endorsement. These gaps shrink as science advances anew, and so there is less and less for me to do. What worries me is not so much that you may be eventually off, having nothing to do, but that those of religion think it is of a virtue to be sad with not understanding a quandary. Enigmas drive scientists on, they exult in mystery. True life is exalts in mystery, remaining as mystery, and so they go no further. But it keeps me from being history. They worship all these evolutionary gaps as being me, no justification. We have a get out of jail free card, a vocation. It's an immunity to the rigorous proofs of science we just claim by the say-so.
You lead a charmed life, bed one with no faults, but you seek ignorance in order to claim victory by default. As a weed thriving in the gaps of science's fertile fields, scientists rejoice in temporary. Scientists rejoice in temperate you hold. I remain as a mystery. You're the same God of intelligent design, assumed, now known by a much more desperate known to prove.
Oh God! I repeat that I intervene to fill the evolutionary gaps. I even alter DNA. We could check the evidence for that. We researchers fill the gaps in the fossil record. Then there are twice as many gaps. Absurd. I'd laugh, but I know you're not joking. No joke. Try what we've been smoking. Lack of 100% complete documentation of evolution means that I ate its motion. God, that is not a good default stance. It's an unknown happenstance. It's an unknown happenstance. So do we let criminals go because we don't have a video of every intermediate footstep to and from the lawless event? No, of course not, but we now have great worry about the precariously perched gappy theory. Also, we made a typo. It's a God default stance, certified by nothing more than proclamation of a bull of decree covering all instantiation. And edict, why not dumb? It was also once avowed that an evil spirit, one that knew yourself allowed to exist, produced physical illnesses on us way. But thank God, just an old saying that scientists persevere and still do, such as finding out the immune system soon. Our defense against the non-evil spirits of germs, viruses and bacterial fits. Yes, agreed that claim was dead wrong. Take pills, but evil spirits still cause the non-physical mental
mental ills that unfold sins and bad thoughts, even crimes of wills.
I see, for the burning mental lapsing sins stem from upbringing, wrong learning, and or low serotonin and such imbalances needing cures, not to mention the differences in cultures such as other religions causing a problem of stability. For people think this undermines their own beliefs' credibility.
Okay, I give up for now, Austin Torn. Be go on with your work with my blessing to discover important truths about reality. But some fossils are evidently missing.
Only a tiny fraction of corpses fossilized. However, not even a single fossil guide has shown up in the wrong geological strata. How's that for absolutely no erratum?
It's sad for me, but true. I'd still love to find wrong of you, like a fossil rabbit in a greenhouse.
I have planted one there if I existed there. Dream on lazy reasoning is all that's behind these declarations of the irreducible complexity kind.
Can guess, but all this ignorance for sure of the possible steps of nature has kept me forever alive, allowing me to ever thrive. And it's just as soon forgotten, you in truth, but for those sustaining your being without proof.
What about an arch of bricks? I'll try to use this one as a trick. Pull one away and the arch falls apart. It cannot survive the subtraction of a part. So how then was it built in the first place? With this insight, I can win the human race
By scaffolding the same as seen in evolution.
The holy god of the gap separated and nearly evaporated to become a discontinuity himself. But the creationist gave him help by trying to hold it together. Their last-ditch efforts, yes, everything still goes on, it seems. When the argument first gathered steam, there were but a few transitional forms, no, although good ones, enough for the idea to own. One being the bridge to vertebrates, and another the bridge to flying creatures. But there are many more now, a wide range, so then it is the data that has changed.
These gap arguments were already down to the faint hope that scientists as clowns wouldn't find any more natural explanations. But the finds were the most inevitable situations. Creationists yet remain at the point word of not being able to push forward. So all that's left to is push backward, albeit at the firmly stat words of evolution.
arguments already down to the faint hope that scientist has clowned. Another god appeared, a mere deity, meaning no intervention, so he's not a deity. And he thusly said, forget the Vedic solution, I am the smart god who seeded evolution. It was I that set the whole universal notion, and all of life's evolution into motion. That was my elegant and foreseeing way of creating the kind of life that would stay. God, I thought you were powerful. Why not just make 16 million species all fully formed, as immutable as the along with their new natural habitats? For this is how most gods would do it. What energy loss could that be to you? Your infinity could all this in an instant do.
A god, I'm not so great, plus since evolution is too stable, for some creation is to scoff at as a fable. They have assigned the job to me, the creator, as all of nature's natural instigator, because they must take treat from the first ID god, who zooms souls into humans at birth. It's so odd, so now I am not a deity anymore of proof, and thus I must ever remain aloof. Of course now I have very little to do, and so I am not much needed, true, for I can't even muddle with their lies. They are all stuck now with their wives. I might really just as well retire, for I am superfluous and tired. But you're still kind of close to our universe, not completely outside it. The place the worst, as I suppose your successor will have to be placed. Absolutely total, invisible to the human race. At least you made some basic primordial substance, and foresaw a billion years of combinatorial chance, predicting every turn, or at least knowing that something is might probably come out of it, which was still quite a feat. Good God!
Thank you, but it was nothing.
On the contrary, I say verily, you're the super scientist, an engineer par excellence, the ultimate inventor of all time.
Much better than the old god of ideas.
Yes, I am a scientist, making all that's real. I had to be, but it was really no big deal. You're too modest. It was just some little quarks and some electrons that I sparked, and some forces that arose as reality was composed. Whoa. But deity, look what became of its simplicity, through its stages to astounding complexity. Over billions of years of circumstances, we've traced the composites to simple substances. Well, it didn't really take that long for my intention, by some coincidence, the same as that for evolution. However, I guess I'm just as surprised as you frowned at when some examine substance and get down to these simple subatomic levels of unadorned things that they then take a giant leap back, of all things, to the composite complexity of me, the ultimate. Isn't complexity a much higher product of combination upon combination, and thus not lower than simplicity itself. Yes, it would seem so. That's a mere empty shell.
I suppose you're some great alien scientist, highly evolved from somewhere, but not really God. True, and you are a scientist, you seek what underlies the all, not some great complexity who oversees it, for that's for what the theory calls.
The God of the Old Testament appeared and proclaimed, I am Yahweh, though schooled from infancy in my strange ways, had become desensitized to my horrific side, and so they continue to keep me very much alive through their thoughts, so fire away at me. You're too easy of a target to attack for free, so it would be rather unfair of me. Well, was the most unpleasant character that's anyone ever made up in literary fiction. I was revealed to be jealous and proud of it, petty, unjust, controlling, vindictive, unethic, cleanse and genocidal, infanticidal, filicidal, pestilential, megalomaniacal, homophobic, misogynistic, sadomasochistic, and much more, and a bully who gave it free, but only if it matched my own way.
Peace be with you. How about the New Testament to replace and hide your scent, as many religions have already done through Jesus' sent?
That testament is quite opposite in tone, but I'm still the father of Jesus' son, so the problem of me can never really go away.
I am what I was, still here unto the present day. Well, Rob, so long, you're the worst role model yet that human mammals have ever dreamed of. Who would imitate, emulate, or follow you as a leader? Well, my followers of those numerous slaves who excuse my mysterious, insane way, but exclusive desert tribe. Well, your boss said anyway, whoever said that a God had to be perfect and good. Everyone that I told, and those who thought I should.
God, you killed everyone but Noah and his family in the great flood, wet even young children and their pets. Sure, then, why not? Life is cheap. However, my creation of the rainbow says that I'll never be so cruel again. What can I say? I prove my sin.
God, you are infallible and even omniscient. And so you know all of the future meant. You even broke your own commandments. My omnipotence of changing my mind got in the way. But your omniscience knew you would one day. Yeah, I know it's a paradox, all the strife, and I can still technically end all life by means other than a flood.
You burned people in hell, not saved, when they didn't follow the unfree will that you gave. Yes, because I was not a loving God. Well, God, who made you? No problem. Either I was eternal or I made myself. This is remarkably the same, but for thee, as the universal ingredients would be. And who would need me? Wait, I don't want the answer told. Is the earth only about 4,000 years old? Of course not, but I may have let that slip to some to tease their intelligence apart from being dumb.
God, do you mind read the thoughts of every human, using all of your acumen, and write the earthly script for each event, being so omnipresent? I tried that at first, but it didn't work for me to put my finger on every atom that be, to micromanage its doings for all of thee. Several all of thee. Several all of thee. Like the earthly script for each event, being so omnipresent. Let's go God's will. I sound even now. What went wrong? Was it the where and how? Disrupted the atoms no more, and that's what caused the storms unfocused, the lightning bolts and the plagues of locusts. Yes, so I stopped making such a mess of things. So the prayers of 6 million Jews pleaded in the Holocaust went all unaided. Yes, 'cause I have better things to do. Time my suit and look after some old experiments of mine from my misspent youth. Did you really make Adam and Eve and all of earth and nature as we believe? I made nature, including the humans in my image. It shows in their rage. Thank you. God inside deja vu all over again. I really have to move on. No way I let go of questions. I'm mellow and now this being my new direction, not as many strictly against me anymore. How come so many of the Gospels were omitted from the New Catholic Testament? Like those of Thomas, Peter, Nicodemus, Philip, Bartholomew, and more.
as well as whole books kept from us. Although you told some other religions to keep them, such as the Book of Revelation, those Gospels were embarrassing and wild. They told about my son doing magic tricks and practical jokes on people when he was a child. We never heard much about his youth, and didn't you send the morning's proof that Jesus spent an early era in what was to become America? Properly. What about the trillions of galaxies in the sky? They're just for showing scenery on high. Where's all your rantings and ravings that I've heard about? I now take Prozac for my mood swings and bouts. I don't take Prozac for my mood swings and bouts. God, you don't really exist, do you, as mental? For how could you have a notional system as composite and still be absolute and fundamental? Oh, I don't exist, for how could I, since I am so? Human mammals made all of me up as a very bad example, as it turned out from their many fears in the childhood of their species years. Unfortunately, it caught on to their children's ears. Yet you gods to subsist in this indefinite locus of wishes. This sort of I am sustained here since many children have learned to obey in the sun. To what is was told to them, as many of their obediences resulted from warnings of things that were truly dangerous, and so the children grew up to indoctrinate their own children in all the knowledge. Offer more reason to those so indoctrinated. Now farewell to you, the impersonated.
See, you pay no attention to me as certain, but to all those blinded by the curtain,
He soon dozed off into Neverland. God of nature. Lastly, I met the God of Einstein, Spinoza's God. I am the so-called God of nature. Being is one and the same with it, no different. Although that which has no difference is really not any different. Anyway, at least this is how the people of by nature's intricacy and beauty refer to me. I am only here in this nebulous vicinity, because I don't actually exist with certainty, but seem to some to be tautological with nature, always existent and beautiful. Oh, It's okay, don't worry about it.
Thank you and welcome to reality.
You mean I'm back?
Well, at least you have one foot in it through, just as I seem to do.
I'm going, but why did humans
Invent the theistic and deistic gods? Man created them in his images, in words and his mind of his insignificance, as well as from a fear of losing the beauty of his life's instance.
So man just proudly declared that he was of special creation. Down to earth as I rejoined actuality, I felt its wings and seas of brightness and color joyfully washing over me. I got some knocking gem of overflowing witnesses. Then with breathing, seeing and hearing and otherwise sensing, all that was knowable as reality. The Christian concept of reward and punishment, and outline omnipotence. Omniscient God is derivative of the family experience, the child and parent, the conception of our world. Down to earth as I rejoined actuality, I felt its wings and seas of brightness and color joyfully washing over me. I got some knocking gem of overflowing witnesses. Then with breathing, seeing and hearing and otherwise sensing, all that was knowable as reality. The Christian concept of reward and punishment, and outline omnipotence. Omniscient God is derivative of the family experience, the child and parent, the conception of our world. Into the lands of the gods my reverie took flight with autumn sight, for I was abstracted in trance and light. I peeped to the sights suffused with insight. The solutions are deep within the mind, reachable by dreams of the lucid kind. I flew south from my home in New Hamburg, over the Hudson River to Woodburn, past Chelsea and the great Smoky Mountain, on prolific desperation, shall feel the cycle aspiration. A wake of leaves trailed behind, like a stream while I gathered clues. through my musing means. My design in this vaporous pipe dream was to converse with all the gods who seemed. If fish kills and pigs kills, murderous names had not been told. Cocaine enough, there soon came a sequence of locals that seemed to be ominous in their triple proximity. First was Sleepy Hollow, the haunted land of the gambles of the Headless Horseman. Then the gate of Heaven Cemetery, and the surprising town of Valhalla. A bright afterlife of an old-time place of shops built right up against the road race. I stopped to rest, well away from the maze, dazzled by the lustrous autumnal haze. In a warm day's musk, before twilight dusk, we're shining gates toward the unearthly sod of the refulgent graveyard of the gods. Over the stream, there was an arched bridge thrown. Then I knew I'd gone beyond the known. For in that span, each piece was a keystone. I questioned two luminous angel gods, where be the mythic graveyard of the gods? They looked askance, then smiled and pointed past. It's just beyond the land of epitaphs. Tombstone remembrances. The cemetery was where the ducks were fed, where two friends feasted on wine, verse, and bread. Amidst the flower trees and quiet streams, the home for both the living and the dead. We lived at once, aware that life was dear, of smiling at heaven and hell without fear. Yes, we had some laughs, gave true love, and made life better, for it was now and we were here. Hear the grave sign of the four elements, from the fires of stars to those of the cremation. He has breathed, flourished, and dissolved. Life is ashes to ashes, stardust to stardust, of fairy winds, vapors, and a soft earth. He rests at last under the spinning skies, those of earth's sunny days and starry nights. The symphony of life plays for the dead. All that we know, even the loveliest of the best, decomposes into the dust of earth compressed. The songs once composed now lie in repose. Of this dust the future rearranges to recompose. Waste not the time of your life in gloom's doom. By these verses your lamp of life will illume. Your life body full of warmth and bloom is worth 10,000 lying in the tomb. Into supernatural pigmentations, I strolled through brilliant imagination to interview all the spoils Gods there, some no more and some ruling everywhere. Notions of God are a wide purview of the inquiring mind confined. It's why that wide expanse of fables, faith, hoaxes, lies, imaginations, fictions, guesses, foggy notions, concoctions, phantasms, fantasies, falsehoods, conceptions, decrees, fiats, misrepresentations, dead ideas, magic, proclamation. Wild tales, anecdotes, revelations, untruths, revelations, hearsay, scrap heaps, yarns and fish stories stated as beliefs in that unseeable supernatural station. Through faiths without knowledge ration, these are all figmentations of the imagination, strewn about this great panoramic realm of the one possibly conceivable. At the helm were all of the unknowable fabrications, often dreamt up by exaggerations by the human race of mammal sapiens. Such pronouncements has come to be, superposed at the furthest edge of reality, poised by the scope of some wishful thinking, by all those dreaming and wild supposing, who wish for such legends to be ever actualized and realized. However, these unknowns have never made it into our observable, realistic habitat in any way. They but remaining in the mind's joint of the dark beholders, even as wildly varying viewpoints. Without so much as a word to say, I pass those to whom most no longer prayed, nor believing but once did, namely those of the tombstones now deemed unholy astrology, the god of the stars that blood eternally blazed and marbled in the stars. Monuments of Diana, the moon god, druid gods of Apollo, Mouses, Wotan, Aphrodite, Mithras, Isis, Amon, Poseidon, Thor, and on, host in the burial ground of the gods, host in the burial ground of the gods.
I ever hurried past the ledgering of those older mythologies preceding the formation of the Old Testament story, those ancient superstitions whose very and various olden amalgamations brought forth to form it whole for our salvation. I paused at that Old Testament light to mark the old but lingering lines of the knowing of more invisibles, beliefs in imagined angelics.
There were angels standing frozen in stone, over time-worn memorials, poems, as well as atop the crumbling gateposts, cast as undying and near living ghosts.
ghosts of the representations of the free spheres of the heavenly host, the demigod, mere seraphim, cherubim, of unenthroned principalities, dominions, powers, archangels, angels, and those final and the most useful, the guardian angels, who are said to protect children from harm. Final and the most useful, the guardian angels, who are said to protect children from harm.
There, amaranth, its dead red leaves never fading on this earth unto forever, gave some color round the graveyard pallor and to the dateless headstones gray squalor. There was a garish maroon view on high of streaking lights of an electromagnetic sky heretofore never imagined by myself. I strolled on and into the veil itself.
Here lie the gods, once so high beneath an electromagnetic sky. Lo, the eternally marbled monuments of the moon god, the sun god, Zeus, Wotan, Aphrodite, Thor, Mithras, Isis, Ammon, Poseidon, Krishna, the Druid gods, and so many more. Behold the ledger of those many mythologies that preceded, paraded, and then passed on. Here they rest, the dead